of just Bonnie flying into the site and just farming kills. On the other side as well, we talk about the explosivity, and given the shooters that exist on TSM, you know, a lot of potential for them to just be able to shut a lot of that down. But it really is going to come down to Seven's utility to keep that Neon in check. That is really going to be the big thing, because Neon is able to just relocate very quickly, especially too, as right now, it is going to be TSM starting us out on the attack. And already just the cyber cage there to help move things forward, but a lot of chip damage being pelted in from Burger Boys onto this TSM squad.
Yeah, just a lot of stone tossing at the moment. Bonnie gonna initiate like you'll see him do a lot this map, and he'll turn for three. Welcome back to the lobby. And why don't we head right back to it, as Burger Boys will kick TSM back to spawn in mere seconds.
And once again, it's just one of those, yeah, it's the Bonnie show. Yep, #1 player right now in Challengers doing some crazy things. But there's a lot of coordination going on between the Burger Boys. Sure, Bonnie kind of stealing the show in the midst of all of that, but look at how they all decide to move in on a dime. The utility flying out so perfectly, allowing the rest of the members to just flood in onto the site. And sure, you know, Bonnie is the highlight player, but the rest of the team are doing a fantastic job to back that duelist up. And especially in some of these moments, that is going to come up clutch, because, you know, this is Valorant. You're not able to just rely on one player to carry you through an entire match.
Yeah, continue to pay attention to Practo and Nanners in particular when it comes to that enabling. They will continue to stay active as well, as this Sheer is just going to get eaten by TSM. Walking into that opening smoke, Seven will chauffeur the remainder of TSM in, and they'll throw some stones of their own into the void that is Burger Boys' defense here on C site. Get a couple kills in the process, but nothing more.
Yes, so all things considered, pretty good. Unfortunately, they didn't clear Retro off of that angle, so it was more or less just easy pickings in the midst of all of that. But you know, it still kind of works out for TSM. They're able to drop a couple of those rifles. And that round also highlighted something that I'm very curious to see how this one plays out. Because Neon, like I said on the previous round, sorry, I meant Practo and not being able to get cleared out there. But Bonnie running things down on Neon could be a little bit of an issue for Burger Boys. Sure, as long as the support is there, that is going to be an extremely effective combination. But if you're able to catch that Neon off guard, isolated alone, then a lot of the issues that we saw Bonnie have on Icebox, not being able to find all those kills and just being overwhelmed onto the site, they're going to last again. Excellent initiation, though.
Yeah, such a telegraphed push onto onto this C site. And with the breach available, Retro's just able to toss a couple pieces of his kit, and Burger Boys will immediately take back the mound that TSM just invested everything into. It's only GMD sitting on the stack, and with a hit on the door, it's going to be an attempted bamboozle, but Alvin and Retro are not phased. Neither is Burger Boys. 4 stay alive in the bonus steal here on the defense.
It's just so clean. Like, yeah, you said it best. Oh, extremely telegraphed attack. Oh, okay. Well, the telegraphedness doesn't really matter if you're able to kill the entire team. And that's exactly what Burger Boys did. As soon as they get an inkling, the TSM are going to be hanging outside of there. Like, look at how clean this exec is. Everyone's got their eyes focused onto the Neon, allowing Alvin to just slip through, play that backside support, and find the kills necessary. Looking like a tactical breach squad coming in from the Burger Boys. And TSM, like, they haven't even had the time necessarily to figure out what they even want to do, because these rounds are over as soon as Burger Boys dictate that they want to end it.
They're really doing all of the decision-making at the moment. It's TSM's turn to on the eco again. And they'll go ahead and poke and prod at that Sheer early on to maintain some passive C presence. Burger Boys will obviously not get as active into a stack like this one. They'll wait for the fight to come to them and not risk losing any of the guns they're holding on to. Bonnie's already got his overdrive, by the way, so pay attention to that. See if he cracks it open this round. We'll see if he gets antsy, or if Burger Boys struggle at all. They might just not. Nanners will not get detected here on Rubble, perhaps. It's still aptly flashed, and with the haunt, the pocket pick also has to get revealed, but Nanners can just hold his ground anyway, and Burger Boys can reinitiate. They'll clear 3. TSM stuck in a lobby now, and they'll have to just take the fight, recoil, Not really making any headway on this secondary duelist just yet, but again, Burger Boys, they're not exactly giving them much of a fight at the moment.
It literally is just like, all right, let's kill them now. And it feels like TSM, they fall over like a stack of dominoes. And once again, like if you're TSM, you're like, surely we can just catch one person off guard, you know, find a kill, capitalize onto it, make our entrance in, but they're not even given that chance. Every time they run into one person, it feels like two more people are just around the corner. And these crossfires, this level of control that Burger Boys are doing just in the entryways of all of these sites has been something that TSM have simply not been able to figure out with this double duelist composition. They force the issue this time. They're at least able to take a little bit of space here, but they will be moving into Practo here, hanging out on tree.
Vora, great Prowler to reveal Practo, who still gets away with one on the fadeaway. And Nanner's now the next active position on site to hold. It's all to escort Bonnie on in. Ooh. And as Sim tries to enter with the showstopper, there he is! On the operator now. And Burger Boys can go back to the passive play. Play for that neutral until the plant gets confirmed. They don't know where 7 is gone. He's only been implanted on the steps, though. Burger Boys fully on the drop. Haunt to clear out the drop choke, and so they'll just drop down from the zip. And Bonnie still gets one on the quick scope. 5-0 for Burger Boys here on Lotus.
Man, I would love to see the time difference between those two kills on the server. Like, immediately. It's just one person drops down, one person watching one way, the other is watching the other. And it's surgical still from Burger Boys. I like the idea from TSM that time. You know, play it a lot more closer. Really lean into that overwhelming number strategy that had kind of worked out well on Icebox. And just play the numbers that way, but Burger Boys, they're just doing such a good job at finding these kills without too many issues. And yeah, this is a good time for TSM to call that timeout. 5 rounds in a row. As a reminder, because Burger Boys won Icebox, they just got to clean this map up and they guarantee their spot in the winners finals. And like, look at their faces. The Burger Boys, they're just chilling right now. They're having a great time. And people on the side of TSM, like, it is not looking too happy or good right now.
No, I mean, TSM just isn't winning the fights that Burger Boys continue to dictate. And TSM's entire composition is built around fighting. I mean, shooters got to shoot at some point, right? But simply put, TSM have not been allowed to thus far. They've been just constantly pressed and pinched whenever they go for these execs. And it's just always come out the way of Burger Boys. And they're not even using 100% of their power yet. Their strongest players are not at the right place at the right time every single time. That's not what you get on Lotus defense. You got to work with what you've got. But Burger Boys have always got enough.
Feels like they've got more than enough this time around. Like, the thing is like, yeah, you're right. TSM's composition, it's based around fragging. It's based about getting that information, not necessarily for the stuns, because really they only have GMD being able to use that paranoia, but it's to confirm the location and then allow Recoil and Sim to just overwhelm with that duelist presence. On the flip side, though, Burger Boys, like, they're not even allowing TSM to get themselves set up for those opportunities. When they're getting ready to go, suddenly Burger Boys, they're using their utility to get those stuns out. You know, blind your opponent, and then suddenly you're dealing with a Neon flying in on you. And Bonnie secures that trade there. TSM very aware of where that Neon is, but still, Burger Boys have the numbers advantage.
Still continuing to hold down this lobby. Even with the null tossed at him, he just sticks around. Relay bolt into the re-up. Give him the ace. Pulls it out for good measure. He'll get it back next round. Who gives a damn?
There it is. The momentum, oh man, it's just purely pushing Burger Boys through at this point. And, you know, I made a joke about it last time, but it's so fun watching Bonnie's head cam as well, because you'll see him like duck, dodge, and dive and swing his head in the different directions as he's going in for some of these plays or getting shot at in the midst of all of it. But you know what? Like, that is like full body engagement. As you're going through this, yeah, Burger Boys are feeling nice and powerful off of Bonnie's 14 kills already. 6 rounds already done and 6 rounds for Burger Boys. TSM not having a single one to their name right now as they try something a little bit different. This time poking in on this B site. Let's see if they're able to find a little bit more value from here.
Activation onto the lobby again. Bonnie's gonna get active through the trap wire. Like Muhammad Ali, he's just bobbing and weaving. TSM take the signal. They're gonna try and breach the weaker side as the pile drive onto A is successful. And they'll use that to snake through B link onto C. Surpass the Vice util, and once again implant GMD. He's been going for these lurks every once in a while. They haven't gone too well so far.
Planted.
This time, he's got the back of spawn covered. Burger Boy's entirely snaking through B, though. Who's going to run into this first? GMD turns into the stack. Timing's decent with Sim's help. But Burger Boys clear away for a 2-for-1. And they'll use a null command for good measure on this C entry to make sure that Recoil can't even get the shield, can't ultimate a player out, can't do a damn thing. Goose Egg still on the other side of this attack as Burger Boys make 7.
Like, it's just so fun to watch Burger Boys go for these types of moments. Everything is so coordinated. They're moving in perfectly in sync and play off of each other. I watched the clip yesterday of like Tens talking about what happened with Qbert and just a little bit of uncomfortability, not being aware of like, you know, how when someone flashes, where they're going to be looking, all of those little micro adjustments. And right now, Burger Boys, it feels like they've got everything locked down. They're playing like a synergized squad, and the scoreline is reflecting it. TSM a lot of ultimates online here. But first, you have to get even an opportunity to make it seem like any of those are going to be worth it. You don't want to just hit that X button and then realize that you've gotten absolutely nothing. You got to be so careful with the kill contract as well. You don't want to accidentally pull in Bonnie, and that becomes a little bit of a tough time. Going head-to-head now. Bonnie's still able to come out on top at 7 trades.
He's just doing it again. He's just walking up to the A door and getting a free kill again. I'm going to lose my mind. TSM has breached the shear again. Sim blast packing in.
It's you and me.
It's Recoil with a follow-up on the kill contract. Dodged. Quick scope by Retro. Whoopsie. Nanners will clean that up. Sim still walking forward, though. Now it's Prakto's turn to play damage control. Now another 1v1 against Recoil, going for the swing trades. Until Nanners gets back on, can kill through the waterfall. 30 HP to clutch up against Recoil. Keep this game undefeated. TP's in! And he makes it work! We stay on. Burger Boys 8-0 on the defense. Are you kidding me?
This is hard to watch at this point, Tenrek. I'm not gonna lie. I thought that round was gonna be good. We see a little bit of an overextension from Bonnie so early on that round. This time it's 7. One of the other insane fraggers on TSM, able to at least get that trade onto Bonnie, shut down that Neon. But then at that point, like, we see some of these individual moments when it's not as coordinated. That's where TSM can find the win. They're able to find the picks necessary, but they just come up a little bit short. And once again, I have to wonder whether or not that is just the difference of utility, difference of stuns, difference of flashes coming in. The TSM, they just want to take these gunfights raw. And well, if you're going up against Bonnie, that's not going to work out well.
This ISO is providing nothing except Recoil getting the kills off of it. And he'll finally make a path for 7 to be able to get one more. Rubble is TSM's for maybe the first time all game. And they'll make their way onto A site. Pinch incoming from Retro, but the trap wire does give him away, so it'll be slow going. Nanners still will stick around on site and intercept a Prowler. And a Steel Garden, for that matter. Alvin holds on to the gun, though. Takes care of Recoil. Nanners back on it. Gets one down.
Down A.
And TSM is stuck inside tree in this 1v2. Nanners, another clutch is in the cards for him.
Oh my.
And another 3K keeps the streak for Burger Boys. That Steel Garden was everything to slow TSM down.
Like, you could see the panic as soon as the Steel Garden comes up. Despite the numbers advantage there, TSM just didn't have the firepower to do anything. And that was looking so good for them too. They had the numbers advantage. It looked like they were taking the site well. They just had to deal with one pesky Nanners hanging out in the back, but the Steel Garden from Alvin shuts down any of the hints of recognition that they might be able to do. Again, it is 7, kind of finding that kill and making sure that this is a winnable round. And yet Nanners with the wraparound, even after the Steel Garden has expired, is able to find what is necessary. Stoic as ever, as it is going to be the TSM timeout yet again. Burger Boys 9-0. I am not feeling too good about my prediction right now, Tenrek.
TSM as a whole currently has 18 kills. Bonnie has 17 kills.
That's some quick math.
That is absolutely unbelievable work from Burger Boys to completely silence what should be such a bombastic composition from TSM, with Sim and Recoil firing all of this vulnerable util that's able to flush out members of Burger Boys. And in response, they just don't care. They fight you anyway, on their terms, and they win. 7. Still on the run from the law after eating 9. Gonna hang back here in the lobby, as always. Metro, planted on the box. The TSM, going window shopping for a free site.
I was wondering if you were going to make one of those jokes. I know Dan did it on the desk earlier.
I was too. I was like, has it been long enough?
Different look from TSM, though. It's a lot more slower, a lot more quiet. This Crossfire is going to be everything in Practo. Not even Bonnie.
They still
Finds
don't even
two.
clear Retro. They still don't even clear Retro. Retro has not been peaked. Vora still has to deal with Practo. They say shoot or shoot. TSM, what's up with you? All right, Practo's dealt with.
One enemy remaining. Spike down B.
Okay.
Recoil.
Recoil able to get one.
Saving grace.
30 seconds.
Toss up the shield, Bubby. Come on. Let's go. Nah, okay.
Oh.
So, kids, we got to sit down and have this talk. Are we going to a 13-0 to send TSM to the lower bracket?
Tedrick, you know you're not supposed to say that out loud, otherwise it might not happen. Like, this is how the flow dictates. Okay, so now that you've said that, it's really possible that TSM might be able to find a single round at some point here, but it's just been so dominant. I feel like at this point, TSM, their mental has been completely shattered. They're just looking for a foot in the door. And well, it feels like a crane is swinging the door shut from Burger Boys, because this has just been flawless coming in from Burger Boys. We're seeing now Sim fly in, gonna use the rocket, be able to find one as Retro goes down.
Golden opportunity that's going to get utilized to the fullest. Paint shell is outside the window, and it's Sim's turn to finally get activated onside the C's. Bonnie still puts it to an end and is going to start fighting before that decay even fully leaves. Alvin with the attempted pinch on the link, and Burger Boys are going to try and pinch this before it really gets active. The gun diff, though, is starting to not permeate, and Recoil has enough frags. I manifested it, baby. I take full responsibility.
The half.
The round after you say it out loud, man. Like, crazy. But yeah, like when you look at the engagement coming in there, I mean, maybe this is just Burger Boys feeling a little bit comfortable. It didn't look as clean that time from their defense, but of course, excellent coordination of utility, excellent coordination of the ultimates coming in from TSM. This is what we expected to see from them. You know, you toss it at the blind, you get the space, and then you just allow your fraggers to frag out. Of course, it is a little bit more difficult when the other team, well, they just need a split second and can headshot you. But still, that is a round TSM desperately needed if they want to even stay alive in this series.
It's you and me.
Kill contract up. We'll catch one of the retreats. So Bonnie stands alone now in the courtyard, and Nanners will beat Recoil, though. So Bonnie playing a little protect the president, has no trouble. And Burger Boys will silence another massive threat. Sim dealing with the tailing Bonnie, and now it's the shorty he jumps into. So Sim will deal with both of those threats from the courtyard. Now it's the rest of TSM that has to come up. Vora finally will breach this entry, and Sim will meet him there. So B site will be TSM's.
Oh boy, I'm not gonna lie, it does feel like Burger Boys are overheating a little bit. They're getting a little bit too comfortable, giving up quite a few opportunities. I know the scoreline is very heavily in their favor, but if they let that happen enough, let TSM regain some of that momentum here, things can start to get deadly. This is the last round of the half, so we're gonna be seeing this retake attempt. It's gonna be 2v2 here. Sim, though, on the other side, definitely still alive. No paint shells available, though. No utility at all, actually, for TSM currently.
Stiff walk-ups. have taken over the B site, cleared it away, but too much to check, and Sim takes advantage of the microsecond they have. 4 kills for the Rays, and they got their foot in the door, but it might get chopped off with the rest of TSM. Burger Boys have to get just 3 rounds to take the match.
All right, TSM, you just got to get 8 rounds, and then you can tie things up. Never say never. At this point, like, you got to take all of that information in your brain and just, like, purge the Sunwell. Start over from scratch here. You didn't see those last 12 rounds. You got to keep your head focused here on this defense. Burger Boys, on the other hand, let's hope that they're not too comfortable. They're really poised right now to make a statement here as the dark horse to potentially win it all in playoffs with a performance like this against a team like TSM. But they got to make it across the finish line. If they overheat, they let things slip away from them, then they lose a lot of that expectation alongside it. It's going to be a little bit more of a wait and see situation from Burger Boys, expecting TSM to be a little bit more aggressive. But TSM, like, look at these protocols. They're just waiting for that contact play before they decide to engage.
Right there.
Response time the key here for Burger Boys. Retro being like, guys, make sure you check that box. Great paint shells on top of the C's, though, and Sim will grab a free kill. Burger Boys, of course, still willing to fight this out, and they'll even give themselves away a second time. Fault line only opens up one of the lanes, and TSM all standing in front of it, flawlessly taking pistol round.
Okay, a little bit of an interesting move coming in from Burger Boys there on that engagement. Of course, yes, you get kind of caught up there, but that should guarantee at least you know 2 people are going to be watching it. I would have liked to see a little bit more of those flashes in play. See if they can kind of force out the angle before they just decide to blindly walk in. But they just go right into the crosshairs, and yeah, it's just the firing range from TSM ready to receive that contact that works out. So TSM, they get the pistol round. They just need to push 7 now. We're actually seeing Sim also buy up a Vandal as well at 15 kills. So you know what? Starting that slow comeback, that slow crawl towards potentially tying this series up.
It's a long road of revenge that TSM is still trying to pave. And it'll be 10 rounds long here on Lotus if they want to do it in the upper bracket. Alvin privy to a triple swing, but Sim will turn it. Great game sense from him. Now continues the trollops, and it's Recoil's turn to get a little slap happy. Down the river we go. Full paranoia to blind everybody out. Practo!
What?
Show me again, please. He was just standing there, man. Oh, he's just standing there menacingly.
This is one of those like moments where you're like, all right, if I read the odds here, we know how this round is going to be going out. We'll be able to find the kill. They've got the better weaponry, good engagement coming through. And Practo, the machine, just finds all the headshots necessary with that sheriff, shuts it down completely, puts Burger Boys back into the advantage on an eco. And now TSM are the ones who are scrounging a buy together. A lot of sheriffs here. They got to make this one work, but Bonnie's starting it out. Sim's already down.
Going for that heavy damage to try to chip away at this, and they only deal a little bit to Bonnie, who, as long as he's still standing, he's still dangerous. TSM will deal with that. Recoil now up front, losing the chamber, though, and so he's only good for 2. Retro and Nanners will pave the rest of the warpath, and that'll be an unquestionable A site. With Vora proccing that shear as well, has to act fast, and does. Great shots onto Alvin to reduce this to a 1v2. And with the Prowler distracting Nanners, Vora will go for a wide reposition here to flush out some util. Paranoia will get used.
Yeah, Vora will have the haunt back online. The spike inevitably will go down, but at the same time, Retro should be able to get the fault line available. And so Nanners and Retro, better weapons, only need a single bullet from either to find Vora here. And Vora's gone all the way wrapped around. Let's see how he wants to take this engagement.
First swing's got to be dry. Catches ahead. Retro gets ahead. So 9 rounds of match point that Burger Boys have to work with to guarantee themselves a top 3 spot in stage 2 of playoffs. How far they have managed to come after besting this team before.
Like, it's so cool to see Burger Boys really just step into their stride. This is one of those teams that was honestly kind of struggling, especially in stage 1, not able to find all the necessary wins. There were those moments where, like, okay, you can kind of see where they're going with things, but it really hasn't solidified until now. Especially, too, in the great mix-up of stage 2 playoffs. This is their time to shine.
Sim once again, early initiation, showstopper is gutsy and immediately punished. And he's alone too. Recoil though, invade, catches Alvin holding out in spawn. So they know this is a one-pronged attack from Burger Boys. Pressing onto that A site as TSM start to crawl forward.
No distraction.
A lot of options here. Recoil with the kill contract via Retro. Easy 4v3 that TSM turned this into, and so Fracto's gonna choose to use the null command. Burger Boys want to win this now. Bonnie ready for the stair swing. He'll get active, wrong timing, and the pile drive from TSM will be good enough. 7 the tip of this spear, and TSM only have one more player to deal with. Can just hold this spike down as Recoil tries to stall it away. TSM will get a 4th round on the board.
And good stuff coming in from the defense to mitigate that. The kill contract was absolutely huge to even things out just for a second. Still though, like, sure, you've climbed the hill and then you look up and you're like, oh, we're actually at the bottom of Mount Kilimanjaro. There's a lot of walking to do, a lot of work that still needs to be done here. And Burger Boys, once again, just 1 round away. The whiff of the showstopper as well is not how you wanted to start that one out. TSM had to dig into their pockets and pull out some of these very key ultimates to be able to win that one back. And of course, it's 7, finding 2 very important kills to make sure that TSM are still in the midst of all of it. Now, let's see how Burger Boys want to go. It looks like they're got their eyes set here on Mound. TSM smartly backing things up as Sim's able to find Bonnie.
Nice activity from Sim again. He's starting to get a little more active on the front lines and get a little more bang for his buck. Recoil tries to collapse that greed into a full-blown advantage, but TSM will have to settle for a 3v2 as the shield will fade away, and so will his space on this C door. So Burger Boys will at least get the Mound Orb, which gives Nanners that ultimate to be able to reposition. And on top of the one-way smoke, they'll just walk right in. Alvin for the 1, and 7 has to play the stopper. He does.
You know,
a massive 3 to cut the lead down to 24 or whatever the meme is.
Okay, well, we're starting to see Sim come alive here. And at the same time, 7 is finding a lot of value as well. So things are really starting to come back together here. I'm curious to see if TSM can continue to roll this forwards, because at this point, like, Burger Boys, they're not on the necessarily the best buy. They are kind of oversending a little bit. They're not playing as carefully as we saw them in that first half. And we talk about that level of comfortability, that level of cushioning. And sometimes if it feels so nice and soft, well, you might fall asleep on the job. Can't let that happen, especially as TSM continue to gain a little bit more momentum. So let's see how they want to engage. It's going to be a B-side hit this time around.
Can't let up for a moment against a team like TSM. They will always challenge. They will always be back again to play you. Bonnie giving his head away for a moment, but not long enough for one headshot to ring through. Reach into the smoke on the baby door, but Bonnie is going to be the one that gets all the kills for it. Rest of TSM, though, still have the much better guns, and so they're able to re-clear the space. Now a Nightfall will get contributed into this retake. 7 evidently appreciates the help. Lets him swing in for free. Turn this to an easy 3v1. Alvin, oh, the ISO wall is beautifully played with by Recoil there just to guarantee. The gap is now 6, and chatters are starting to sweat.
Oh man, like this is kind of what I was worried about, especially too when you go into the second half. Seeing the playstyle of it, I thought Burger Boys with the initiation moving in onto site would be a lot more clean than some of this, you know, utility flying in there and hoping for the best. Bonnie's getting picked extremely early on in some of these rounds. And because of that, TSM, like, they're finding their footing. It looked like a hopeless map, but went from hopeless to potentially there's a chance of forcing out map number 3. Of course, don't want to speak too soon. It's going to be another gun round coming in from Burger Boys here. They do have 3 ultimates. Most importantly, the Rolling Thunder, I think, is going to be the one that could make the hugest difference here.
It's a great seize from 4 to feign control, and it allows GMD to fight, but the rest of Burger Boys is here, and they just have more players for it. Turn this into a 3v2, TSM. An elongated fight that doesn't go their way, but Recoil meeting Bonnie! as soon as he extends his arm. And we've turned it back to even Stevens for this full take, but Burger Boy's unsure of where the rest of TSM is, or excuse me, the other way around. TSM is unsure of where the rest of Burger Boys is going to end up going. They will hear this A-tap, and will kill contract it. Retro gets hit by it. Decisive 1v1 to dictate the rest of this game. And Recoil holds on. 2v1, Alvin is forced to plant.
Alvin now into this 1v2. Does have an ultimate available. Could slap the weapons out, but I don't know if this is the round to use it. Double swing comes through, able to find 1v1.
How do you find that?
Man. I'm going to be honest.